Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Elaine and I'm living with autoimmune disease. If you clicked on this video, then I'm terribly sorry that you have found yourself on this journey. But let me say first that the community of autoimmune disease warriors are amazing. And although you found yourself with this diagnosis, you found yourself in a group of amazing people. And if you clicked on this video, you were probably newly diagnosed with autoimmune disease, or maybe you're a veteran like I am and you just want to see what my guidebook would be. Like anyone giving you advice, they should give you a resume first of what gives them the right to be giving you advice. So here are my qualifications. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 31, which means that I have been an autoimmune disease warrior for, wait for it, 16 years. All right, so now you have your autoimmune disease diagnosis. My first bit of advice to you is to grab yourself a journal, a calendar, something that you can write in. If you are a tech person and you like to do things on your phone will work as well. But you need to keep a symptom journal. If not for the doctor or your specialist, for yourself, because you will have long periods of time between your appointments with your specialist. And we can tend to forget how we were feeling on each day and forget our symptoms. And so when the specialist comes in, we can maybe only recall the last 2 weeks. It's good to be able to look back on your month, 2 months, 3 months, however long you're between your appointments, and say, okay, I've had more bad days than good days this period. Maybe you've had more good days than bad days, and that can show that maybe the medication that you've started on is working. I would write down exactly what kind of symptoms you're having when you woke up. I had foot pain, I had hand pain, my wrist hurt today, my elbows hurt, my knees hurt, I was extremely fatigued, I had a headache, I had a neck ache, I had a strange pain in my belly. Whatever it is, keep track of your symptoms during each day. I'd recommend just grabbing a journal of some sort. If you want to spend extra money, you can actually buy a symptom tracker on Amazon and keep track of your symptoms, or you can download an app for that as well. But keep track of your symptoms because you will forget between your appointments what you were feeling like. If your doctor wants to look at your symptom journal, you'll have it for them. Most of the time, providers don't have a lot of time to spend with us after that first initial appointment. So mainly you just want to go over that before your appointment so you remember everything that happened between your appointment times. Also, between appointment times, you are going to have questions. Questions are going to pop up daily at the beginning of your journey. Actually, 16 years into this, and questions still turn up for me, and I still come in with a list of questions. So each time a question pops into your head, write it down, dictate it out on your phone, do whatever it is. If you're a tech person, use your technology. If you are a paper and pen kind of person, write it down. I personally write my questions down on paper. So yeah, I'm Gen X, so I'm still between the whole technology and paper, but I write my questions down on paper. And you are going to bring those questions with you to your doctor because no person is better to answer your questions than your physician, the person who knows your journey. I know that oftentimes we can ask questions online and get other people's opinions, but they do not know your journey or your diagnosis like your provider. So you want to get good information, so write those questions down and bring them with you. Now, like I said, our providers don't have a lot of time to spend with us, unfortunately. So your questions, you're going to have a lot. Prioritize them. Make sure you put the ones you really want to know about first so that you can get those answered quickly. And if you run out of time, maybe the questions at the end of the list, those answered at another appointment. So you're probably thinking, okay, Elaine, well, that's great. You can ask your provider questions, but I don't have that relationship with my doctor. you're gonna need to build a relationship with this doctor. This physician that you're seeing for your autoimmune condition is going to become the quarterback of your care. Now, this might be a rheumatologist, a dermatologist, a gastroenterologist, depending on what your autoimmune disease is. If you don't feel like you have a relationship with your physician, it might be time to seek a second opinion. That relationship is truly important for your care. I do know there's a shortage of rheumatologists, so I do know that sometimes people aren't able to get to another rheumatologist quickly or easily. You may have to travel, and that's exactly what happened to me. I shared my second opinion story here on YouTube. I'll link it down below if you hadn't seen that, but I broke up with my first rheumatologist and went for a second opinion, and that changed my life. Now, first rheumatologist was in town, didn't have to travel anywhere. Second rheumatologist, who I'm with now, is at a teaching hospital in Los Angeles, which means I have to travel, and LA traffic is not fun sometimes, and parking sucks. But that meant that I had a better relationship, and really that's such an important step of your care. You want someone who you are a team with. Your physician is going to offer you medication for your diagnosis, whatever it is. You're gonna start on something. And my best advice is to get to know the medications that treat your autoimmune disease. It could be a simple Google search to bring up whatever it is that treats your autoimmune conditions. There are medications that treat like rheumatoid arthritis. There are drugs that treat like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. There are drugs that treat lupus, and they're all kind of different, but I would say your best bet is to get to know the medications that treat your illness. And please remember that when you're looking up information on these medications, you're gonna find people's stories, good and bad. I've recently been telling people in the comment section that whatever we put in our bodies obviously is going to have a side effect, be it natural or pharmaceutical. So whatever you put in your body, you're going to have a side effect. Now, people are very apt to share with you bad stories because the people with good stories are outliving their life. So please, when you are looking at medications to treat your illness, please remember that those are just stories of those people's experience with medications. And I've shared my experiences with medications here a lot on YouTube and tried to be as open and honest with you as I can, but those are my experiences. It doesn't mean that you're gonna have the same experiences. Like everything, there's good stories and bad stories. And I would say, as you get to know these medications, it is not bad to ask your physician about the medications that treat your illness. If you have specific questions before you start methotrexate, write them down and tell your doctor apprehensive, you're nervous about starting methotrexate, you've heard other people's stories, because I think that a physician would much rather talk to you and reassure you and answer your questions than have you start something that you don't feel comfortable with. And they're not going to be put out by your questions. They're human. They know you're scared. You wouldn't be sitting in that office if you were perfectly healthy and functioning. And when you're looking for medications to treat your condition or your disease, you might find yourself in a support group, which I think is a great opportunity. If you are the person who really would like a support group, there are support groups both online and in person. Personally, I am a member of both. There are Facebook support groups, there are in-person meetings that you can go through foundation websites to find and email people to see about like what is going on in your area. There are groups that meet via Zoom. So there's something out there if you wish to participate in a support group. I think it's a great opportunity because nobody knows your journey or what it's like to live in your shoes unless they're living in the same shoes. Now, everybody's journey is different, but those with autoimmune disease know what other warriors are going through. We know the tedious appointments, all the tests, the medications, they sometimes work, they sometimes don't. We know what it feels like to try to be a functioning person in a non-functioning body. But maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay. Sometimes it's scary to hear other people's experiences. And eventually you might get to a point where you want to hear other people's experiences. And I would say seek out those support groups. It's great to be in like-minded company. And if you're newly diagnosed, you're probably grieving the person you were. That healthy person, the person that you never thought that would wake up and just be sick one day and have this diagnosis and lifelong condition. Every person with a diagnosis of autoimmune disease has grieved their healthy self. I don't care if they tell you they haven't, they have. We've sat in a room, we've cried, and we've tried to figure out how we're going to move forward with this so-called new normal and how we're going to function in a non-functioning body. And we've felt the fear and we've felt the uncertainty, and that's the part you're grieving and the part that feels scary. But you will make it. It's important to let yourself kick and scream and be angry that you are diagnosed with this, but don't stay there. That's the thing. There will be times in your journey, even 16 years later, that you will have to take time to grieve again. I grieve maybe once a year, but it's important not to stay there. But it's okay to grieve. It's fine. Your life has changed. Your normalcy and what you knew as normal changed, and it's okay to grieve that. And if you are diagnosed with autoimmune disease, unfortunately, there's probably many symptoms and systems involved in that. So if you have lupus, you probably have skin problems. If you have scleroderma, you for sure have skin problems. If you have lupus, you have gastrointestinal problems, probably. Scleroderma has gastrointestinal problems. People with inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, you guys have joint problems. Talk to your specialist, whoever is your quarterback, whoever's overseeing your care, gastroenterology, dermatology, rheumatology, and find out the specialists that they work with, who they could refer you to. Now, our primary care physicians can always refer us to other specialties. If they see we have a skin problem, they will probably refer us to a dermatologist. However, the reason I say talk to your specialist is because in the autoimmune disease world that these doctors are working in, they work together. And so oftentimes your quarterback or your specialist will have somebody that they work with in that specialty, or they know that they have patients that go there. So in other words, your rheumatologist might have a dermatologist that they work with, or they know. Your gastroenterologist might have a rheumatologist that they work with for your joint problems. So talk to your specialist, whoever is your quarterback, and ask your specialist if it's time to bring in another specialty. If you're having skin problems, it could be something that your specialist can treat themselves because they're used to autoimmune disease, they know what they're doing, or it might be something more complex, or you might feel more comfortable with a different specialist, and ask them if it's time to go see a dermatologist. It's just a small portion of the guide I would give you if you're newly diagnosed. Hopefully this helps you in the beginning of your journey. I still continue to learn things 16 years later. If you are a veteran and you have anything you would add to this guide, leave a comment down below. What would you tell somebody that's starting out on their autoimmune disease journey? Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to come along on my adventure, I would love to have you. The more friends, the more better. My adventure is sometimes fun. It's sometimes medical. It's always an adventure. It's absolutely free. Hit the subscribe button down below. I wish you success on your journey. I'm sending you good vibes, positive thoughts. And until my next adventure, go have yours.